I remember Sandra.
Yeah.
And you bought me a donut kebab. There you go. You can put that clip in. It's exactly what she says as she says it. And you bought me a donut kebab.
Hello, welcome to Podcast vs. Player, episode 235. I'm one of your hosts, Callan, as always. I'm joined by a man who was birdwatching the other day when he saw two crows stuck together. He thinks they were Velcros. Tony Bloody Dan!
Hello.
Hello! We're back.
I was so high energy.
Contagious.
Oh, Christ. I was so high energy, I burnt myself out immediately.
That's it, we're done.
I was in a real bad... I wasn't in a bad mood. I was just tired last time, wasn't I? And as far as I'm concerned, Callum, we had a rip-roaring time.
We did, even though we talked about something that we shouldn't have talked about for far longer than we should have talked about it.
I mean, to be fair, that's most things.
Yeah, that's most
I'm honest.
episodes. This one will be no different,
Yeah.
Dan. So, how the diddly devil are you?
I'm pretty... I'm recovering from illness, but pretty good. I had a nice mental well-being and relaxation day on Monday. Got a nice little massage. Although my masseuse managed to tell me, just as we were sort of finishing up, she was like, your back is absolutely full of knots. She's like, you should probably get a deep tissue massage the next time you come. And I was like, oh. Because when I fucked my back, like 6 or 7 months ago, something like that, I had to, because I'd seen a physio, and because I was just like, it feels like I've just cracked my back in a weird way or something. Like, medically, is there anything wrong? And they were like, yeah, you're fine. It's just like, it's inflamed or whatever. So I went to a local massage place because they did deep tissue massages, and I was like, right, if anyone's going to sort of get into the meat and sort of just get it all out, it's going to be one of these. And my fucking lord, I was literally bruised.
Yeah.
Like, it's that intense. Like, just, I mean, they're doing exactly what it says on the tin. They're getting literally everything, and oh mate, it was so painful.
I can't help but feel that the word massage tricks you into thinking it's going to be pleasant.
Well, they have a lot of pleasant options. That one's more practical.
Yeah, but the ones that are actually good for you hurt. Unless the ones that lead to sex, obviously, them ones are okay. But
that hurts me financially more than anything. Because I don't, for length of time, for amount of paid, I don't get my money.
Yeah, it's like 10 minutes all in.
10 minutes?
No, that includes.
It takes me that long to get my trousers.
That's the waiting room. Book it in, getting your kit off, doing the deed, having a massage.
Get my loyalty card stamped.
Wait, I need one more. I get a free coffee.
Hey.
Well, no, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it because you went in back to tank. It's not back to tank, but
I'm classifying it as a back
the
to
equivalent,
tank.
the closest thing we have. I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think.
Well, no, because there's no healing properties in it.
There's mental healing properties.
That's very true. It's like a mental back to tank.
Yeah, a Mac to tank.
A Mac to tank. And it's in Manchester as well,
there
so
you go.
it kind of works again. Yeah. But it was like a...
Manchester
I was
trough.
hoping for you're just going to put your head in a bucket of water and just close your eyes and hum really loud. But it was like, I was looking for, to sort of go along with, my day of mental healing or whatever. Not that I'm depressed or stressed or anything like that.
It's just good to do.
It's just nice to, but I was looking at alternatives, and a friend of mine suggested, there's these flotation tanks that you can go in. Again, they're just across the road from me, which is great. But I was expecting, or maybe I was hoping for a sensory deprivation tank, so you would be able to hear nothing, see nothing, and
that's what I thought you did.
Well, it's visually, as soon as I turned the lights off inside that thing, I could not see a thing. It was I fell asleep in it because it's it's warm and you're floating, and it's really quite nice and relaxing. But when I woke, I was asleep for, I don't know, I'd say maybe about 10 minutes in, I fell asleep. And then with maybe 5 minutes before the 5-minute music kind of kicks in, I woke up. But as is with any time you're asleep and you've got that split second or a second or so of just waking up and just going, oh God, what the hell's going on? I did that, but I'd forgotten that I was in a tank of water and couldn't see. So I was like, oh, right, yeah. Because I mean, I don't know how many people have just sort of woken up blind one day, but
I imagine it happens.
I would imagine it's fucking terrifying. Because that split second, I was just like, oh my god, oh, right. Because I was just like, I can't see, and what the fuck, and I can't touch anything because I was in water.
And you're quite blind anyway, so it's just doubly scary.
Yeah, but this was like...
pitch black.
This was like... Yeah, like, even when your eyes are open, like, you know, like when your eyes adjust to things, even in really, really dark places, and eventually you can kind of see your hands and stuff. I was like this, and you cannot see anything. It was crazy. But I probably wouldn't do it every month, but it's just sort of like, because I didn't realise until you got there, bollock naked you had to go in. Like, you had to get showered down by yourself. Like, there's not someone there with a brush sort of scrubbing you.
So it's this. I've got some photos here from...
But you get showered, you plop yourself in the tank, and you just sort of you drift about for an hour. So there's like some music that plays, but like they give you these sort of like, think of it like you know, like off like the nice glue off the end of a hot glue gun, and it's just sort of like, it's not scalding hot, but it's just sort of goopy a bit. It's like quite nice and warm, like giant pucks of that basically, like this sort of squishy material. And you use it to just sort of like block. You don't put it in your ears. It's just to block the whole of your ear, so you don't get salt water coming into your ear. But you can still hear what's going on, because there's music and stuff. If it was like complete deafen and complete blindness, I think it would. I think it would probably be a little bit more disconcerting than it was, because it was still, you could kind of hear like clicks, and like if someone closed the door, you know, in another room or something like that, you just sort of hear it faintly.
If you woke up like you did, though, and you were deaf and blind...
Because like all you'd be able to do is just sort of like hear the water sort of slopping about you. But like I was, if anything, I was, because it's quite big. I was more just sort of enjoying, because like I was hoping that you know, like people like they have like visual and auditory hallucinations and stuff like that, being in like sensory deprivation tanks. So I was hoping for something like that. But I didn't. I just fell asleep in it, which again sort of means it was perfectly pleasant, but it wasn't quite the, you know, journey into the inner demons or whatever.
I'd like it if they were like hooked up to, not screen, so they couldn't, like there was no camera so they couldn't see you, but the inside of the tank was a screen, and every now and again they just put like the girl from The Grudge or something, just like popped up, see if you like. Well,
there was clearly there's like some sort of like sensor or something like that in it, but like 5 minutes before the end, there's like a gentle sort of music that sort of just slowly kicks in, and it just sort of, you know, brings you back to reality. And then as soon as I got out, and like literally stepped out, and then last leg out, like the filter jets just went, and just like, I was just like, if that's how you decided to wake me up instead, like if, you know, if the music had gone on and I still wasn't awake and they just turned that filter on, I would have fucking shit my pants.
You're blind and drowning.
Blind, drowning, I would have just been splashed all over the place. There'd be a big old poo just sort of doing donuts in the middle of that thing because the power of this fucking jet. But yeah, I'd definitely recommend it if you've got the option to. Go for it.
I'd give it a go.
Yeah.
I don't know what people, yourself included, but until you do it, I don't know what you think you can expect from it, kind of thing. Because it's, I imagine, like you say, like some people will see, like they'll have hallucinations, or they'll see things, not so much a hallucination, but they'll see.
No, it's like colours and shapes and spots and
but obviously you didn't, so not everyone has the same experience of it. So yeah, I think it's something that you should do at least once, and I'd definitely give it a go.
It was still very relaxing.
I did it in my bath yesterday.
Perfect weightlessness.
I've got a sleeping bag.
Yeah, no, it's not really the same. Like when you've got to force your hands down to just try and hit the bottom of the. I was busy just doing that sort of stuff, just sort of like seeing how much sort of
buoyancy you had.
Like and like just like little movements, and just sort of. I mean, if there was a camera in there, I would have looked like an absolute dickhead, just sort of like splashing around like this, like a baby in a fucking rubber ring.
Maybe that's what for. Maybe you're gonna watch like the new season of Tarrant on TV, and you're gonna be on some like Japanese advert for.
That thing that was cancelled 35 years
ago.
Yeah,
that's why I said the new series. You never know. Is Chris Tarrant still alive?
This? I was going to say, if the fact that no one's heard of him, or heard from him, should I say, makes me think that he's had some sort of like scandal, and then the ITV just binned him off.
I don't know, because he obviously did like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and stuff, and then I honestly don't remember anything after that. There obviously
maybe,
was,
to be
but
fair,
we don't watch TV in that sense.
No, I mean, I think he did. There was something with like boxes. It was like kind of like a deal or no deal. The only reason I know that is because Harry Hill's TV burp constantly took the piss out of him, because it was just sort of like it was just constantly just like clips of just him talking. It was just like, and why do you fancy salmon? Why not like the fish?
Yeah,
I mean,
the
the colour of the boxes. I mean, yeah. It's like, well, so what is it about salmon? And someone's got to stand there and just sort of explain the vibe of like, yeah, well, I like fishing, and it's just like, oh my god, just pick a box and shut up,
random.
fucking hell.
That sounds
Yeah, of course it is.
But you saying that, we are going to move on to something important in a minute. But you saying that reminded me of a post I saw earlier on Instagram, and it's some BBC show, like not. Like these housing shows where they'll come in and they're either selling the house or they're doing a house up or whatever they're doing. It's that kind of bollocks. But the guy does this when he's talking, so he'll go like, "I look like, so what are we thinking for the living area?" And someone's put loads
Dun, 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 dun.
yeah, they put clips together, and every time he does it, it's a different piano thing.
Oh, really? I'm glad I'm on the same wavelength.
Yeah,
as
it's
the
so
internet, then.
fucking
That's
funny.
good. Did you ever watch like, speaking of, did you ever watch Harry Hill's TV burp?
I bloody did.
Like,
Fight!
yeah, very much an early 2000s, it's always like a little joke and a catchphrase and whatever. Like, that show was crazy to me, because it was always like, they just got like a team of writers or something, presumably, who all just sit down and they all watch fucking Emmerdale and they all watch a stupid game show or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they've got to come up with a bunch of jokes, like really sort of like snippy, snidey, pointing out the obvious, or what a dickhead this person's being. But there was I don't know why this is just coming to my head, but it was just sort of like, oh, have you ever noticed? And it was just like, oh, I wonder why Phil Mitchell, EastEnders, for anyone who doesn't know, who cares? Has anyone ever wondered why Phil Mitchell is always deflating or something like that? And it's just a constant series of clips of him just going, oh. And it's just that, and it's just like the brain that you must have to just sort of see this and just go, that's the second time he's just breathed out really funny. There's a joke in there somewhere, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, but then to then go to the script writers and the team of editors and stuff and go, this is the joke, and then it's just like, for fuck's sake, I've got to find all these clips and put them all together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
There's
it's just like there's so many sort of like 3-hour compilation videos on YouTube for like all the sort of like, or it's because they had like the series, like the weekly shows, and then they did like a best of all of those shows, and I think it's just like a compilation of all those best ofs. But there's, oh my god, there's some absolutely fucking cracking things.
It was really good. It's one of them shows that I think if it came out today wouldn't have the same appeal.
It wouldn't be a show. It wouldn't be on a show on TV. It'd be a fucking YouTube.
Well, even that, I don't think it'd be as funny. It's funny now because we remember it and we'll watch it. So there's other not just TV burp, other shows as well, and movies, and you remember why it was funny when you first saw it. But now it's the same as like films like American Pie was really funny at the time, but you watch it now and it's not funny.
Dated and gross and misogynistic, and of course.
And
also, it means that unless you were watching TV at about that kind of time, about 20 years ago, you're not going to understand anything that's going on. Like, a lot of the things, like just sort of like silly jokes or slapstick or some of the cutaway stuff that they do, it's funny kind of regardless. But unless you know that, oh my god, that guy was an absolute wanker on The Apprentice, or oh shit, yeah, that person was an absolute dickhead in fucking Brookside,
any
or
other
whatever.
show.
Like, exactly. So if you watched it now, you'd just be sort of like, I don't understand why that's.
These people
what's the reference? What are they referencing here? I don't understand.
That's what I mean. Like that was people that like. I'm assuming you didn't watch EastEnders and Coronation Street and stuff, but
no, but like
you
my
was
mum
aware
did.
Of the people because again, like people like your mum watched it. My nan was forever watching that shit, always. And
sorry. You obviously don't, because this isn't a video. Maybe you will.
This is a video, you idiot.
No, but I mean not one that you edit usually. But there's just this there's this one bit he does, and it's from a show called Footballers' Wives, right? I don't know if you remember that.
I remember Footballers' Wives.
Again, I never watched it. The only reason I knew about it is because of shit like that. It'd just be people taking the piss out of it because it's just sort of like Only Way is Essex, kind of.
No, it was like
Wives of Jersey Shore or whatever.
It was essentially a soap, essentially.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It wasn't a reality show, but it's that kind of it's just sort of this sort of nonsense or shit that
there was
footballers get into or whatever.
The warden was in a coma at one point, and there was a woman who was going in and having sex with him. She got caught. Yeah.
That's a hell of a storyline. I'm surprised I didn't see that on TV, but to be honest.
I mean, there's a reason why.
Yeah, but there's just this bit. Sorry, bad throat. There's just this bit where there's this guy. I assume he's like a football manager or something. I don't know. He's talking to his miss or someone's miss. There's a bloke and a woman, right? And he's just sort of like he's apologising or crying, or he's crying, but he's just like. And then he just cuts back to Harry going, eh? And then it'll play again. He goes, what? Like it's just like they just drag like really silly jokes like that out forever. And mate, every sort of like maybe 6 months, every once a year, maybe it'll just sort of come up on a recommended thing or something. Like I'll probably go and watch it tonight, and I'll be in tears. It's that sort of stupid and funny. But I would love to get someone who's like 18 or whatever and sitting down and go, here's this great show that I used to watch. Yeah. They'd be like, what the fuck is this? It's a terrible TikTok thing.
But annoyingly, well, two annoying things. One, I had a really funny segue into the main bit of the podcast that I could have took from your thing, but
this podcast.
I'm going to skip over it. The annoying thing is, a lot of these things that are on TV Burp, not specifically TV Burp, but shows that we used to watch and characters we know, whether we watch the shows or movies or not. The only way people, like kids these days, will know them is if there's a TikTok or a meme.
Yeah,
that's how they'll know them.
About it.
Like there's one. Remember Ian Beale from EastEnders?
Yeah, he got slapped or whatever.
Yeah, there's one of him crying, and it's just
I know
all over the fucking place. But that's where the youth of today will know him. Because that's that guy of the crying meme. No, he was on EastEnders for like 35 years.
Yeah, he did his fucking time.
He fucking did. He might even still be on it. I couldn't tell you. But what I was going to do was, because you said they've dragged this joke out for like 6 years or something like that. I was like, speaking of dragging things out for 6 years, The Flash has just had a new trailer, the new DC.
Yeah, we've finally, it's actually happening, Callum. They're actually going to do and release a Flash movie.
And from the last two trailers, well, the only two trailers, looks pretty fucking good.
It looks alright, doesn't it?
Looks very good.
Although, I'll tell you, I'm seeing a lot of, like, on Instagram and on Twitter and stuff like that, people are just tearing this apart.
They're
will.
Just
sort of, like, looking at screenshots and things like that and just going, bleh.
But Ezra Miller is the star of the movie, and there was a lot of people lobbying for that to not be the case. And in all fairness to James Gunn and co, they could have just cancelled it, saved themselves the hassle. But I have the feeling that it is probably a good film, so they didn't want to.
I have a stronger feeling that they'd already put too much time and effort and money into it, and they got Keaton on board, and they'd somehow managed to get Ben Affleck back. Yeah. And they was like, if we have to fucking reshoot this, we could lose him. Like, we've already lost like 20 million or whatever. Like, it's now or nothing. Like, we just have to do it. It wouldn't surprise me if at the end of this they killed him off and just went, right, he's out of the picture now. We don't have to worry about him.
He won't be back.
That's what I mean.
Whatever. Yeah. So I mean, like, I don't think I'll kill him off per se, but whatever they do, I think the multiverse shenanigans going on within Flashpoint. I think the reset, which we already know is going to happen. This film is going to reset the DC extended universe or cinematic, whatever the fuck it's called. And I think it'll reset it without him in it.
Potentially.
That's how it'll end. He'll get stuck. That's stuck out in another dimension, in another timeline. This new one is the current one.
Yeah,
that's what I think they'll do. I don't think they'll kill him off just on the off chance that everyone loves him after this, and they want to bring him back at some point. But
people aren't going to go and see the Flash movie to watch the Flash, are they?
No. There's a reason Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck are in it.
Yes, because the Flashpoint story is great and it is really quite good. But I don't know if I'm going to go to the cinema to see this.
I will.
But if I am, it's because I want to see Keaton back in the back suit. In the bat suit,
in the back suit, Back to the Future suit. It's Doug Brown.
But like the Batwing, like coming out of the ceiling and like unfolding, and then there's plenty of shots of just sort of them just sort of flying about in the daytime, which is bold.
Very bold for Batman.
Yeah. We've got Supergirl, or potentially Supergirl. Just like there's no blonde hair going on there.
Supergirl. They have acknowledged that,
but it doesn't look like it's standard kind of Power Girl Kara.
When have they ever done standard DC?
Well, that's true. But then this is the thing I don't understand, right? Because then we've got the Ben Affleck Batman, and presumably this Flash, who's sort of like leading this film, he's the Flash from the Justice League and whatever.
Yeah.
So does that mean then that in the Keaton Batman-verse, the 89-verse, is Supergirl from that universe? Is she from another universe? Is she from the Justice League universe? Like, is this going to be... Oh, and then she was the one in the bloody Man of Steel pod. There you go. Problem solved. Everyone's got an Easter egg. Happy. Done.
Potentially. Or... do they all go travelling in time together? So he goes back to Keaton and then they...
But then why would you not have... Well, no, because he's not going back to Keaton, is he? He's going back to save his mom. He's doing this Flashpoint thing.
But I mean, like when they meet Keaton, then they go, right, we need to go here to stop this from happening, and then they just time hop around.
Maybe, but who's the big bad in this situation then?
The Flash.
Kinda, right? Because
Reverse Flash has got to come into it, hasn't he? Gonna have to come into it.
But again,
because Zod can't be
paradox,
the big bad.
Yeah, but then also if Zod's there and he's doing the sort of the Metropolis fight or whatever, why is Supergirl there and Superman's
who's
not?
he fighting?
So is this like an alternate? So instead of it wasn't Clark that came to Earth, it was Kara instead.
Potentially.
Or was he killed by one of the the Smallville fight? One of them got the best of him and just cracked his neck instead.
Well,
and she had to sort of step up and do it. I was
going to say there is that bit in the trailer where she's shying. She's like, "What have you done?" And then she puts that big thing through Zod's head. Well, not through it. But
well, there's also a bit where she's flying up into the sky with someone who's shirtless. Now I couldn't really make it. It could just be one of the Ezra Millers. I don't know, but she's sort of flying someone up. So
towards the sun.
Yeah, maybe.
I've got a feeling that it's Clark that he gets killed instead of Zod.
Potentially, yeah.
Be the easiest way around it.
But then again, if that's the case, like that's a big story sort of thing to go back and change. You go, right, Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman. We'll go back and we'll change it. We'll take Clark out. We'll put Kara in. But then why the fuck's Keaton's Batman involved? Like, what's he doing knocking around?
It's because if they leave it longer, he'll be too old.
But that's what I mean. If they just went, we'll stop this Ezra Miller, bad guy Ezra Miller, we'll stop it, we'll redo it, and he's just sort of like, nah, I'm out. I don't do too many of these now.
One of them's going to turn, I reckon. And we'll get a hint of Reverse Flash, if we don't see a Reverse Flash at all. But there's...
Maybe...
I honestly don't know, because obviously it's not going to follow Flashpoint to the page. It already hasn't, but it could really go anywhere. And the fact that it is they've already said the exact words, this will be resetting the DCEU. So is this just going to be a case of Barry's done this, he just tried to go back, save his parents, stop his mum dying, stop his dad going to prison. Spoilers for any Flash things from the last 7 years. And just in the rest of the film then is then Barry's and Bruce's just trying to either prevent things from getting worse or to put things back to how they was.
I mean, it looks like, so it doesn't seem, at least from the trailer, that the Bruce's crossover. It looks like it could just be this Ben Affleck stuff happening with like normal timeline Flash, and then he goes back, something happens, something changes, and it's Keaton instead. But then there's a couple of shots where he's in a chair and he's like surrounded by chemicals and he's being struck by the lightning. So it must be this. It must be following something similar. That he goes back in time and he's lost his powers again. It's Reverse Flash that does that, right? I can't remember if he just drains his powers or whatever it was, but he ends up having to reenact the accident that gave him his powers. So presumably he's going to do that with a Keaton Batman. So instead of it being Thomas Wayne in Flashpoint, it's going to be Keaton. Unless they just go, oh no, that's Thomas Wayne, not Bruce Wayne.
No, it's definitely Bruce Wayne. Because this is the thing. So before we start this podcast, I said there's something I want to talk about, but I'm not going to say what it is. I'm going to talk about it on the podcast.
Go on.
Something I'm not happy with, Dan. We've had another nostalgia moment on this trailer. Like, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Nuts. Stop it! I gave you the Batman thing where he drops down. He's like, yeah, I'm Batman.
Yeah.
I'll let you have that, but I don't want any more. Especially when that didn't work in the original Batman. that line.
No, it was stupid enough to be sort of like, all right, whatever. But then surely you just like that's what you say just before you go and just kick shit out of someone or something like that.
I'm
so you got
not
someone
having
there
it.
it's just like, oh, you want to get nuts? Right, let's get nuts. We're just standing there, just saying, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Yeah, because that's how he says it as well.
I know, but that's what I mean. I'm just sort of like,
at least he broke a vase in the other one.
Yeah, he smashed the thing. Yeah,
with the fire poker thing.
But then that opens up another thing, does that mean that everything that happened in '89 Batman, is that a part of this same thing, or is it just it's another guy?
Yeah, it's going to be the Keaton verse, isn't it? Because even down to the fact that when the Batwing goes up in the air and you get the silhouette, that's from the Keaton verse as well.
Yeah, very iconic shot.
Yeah, and it's stylistically, I like the idea of it, and I like it when he's ejected out. And then it just narrowly misses him as it's crashing down
Clearly
again.
Going to crash and explode, so thank you for that trailer.
But then, I know it sounds really silly, and it very much could be, but saying that we don't know that the two Bruces or Bruce and Tom, whatever they do, we don't know if they're in the same timeline. This sounds really silly, but you know that particular bit when Keaton's Batman is up in the air, and then later on in the trailer, Ben Affleck's Batman comes out on the bike, and he comes out the back of the, I'm assuming, big Batmobile. I don't know what the vehicle was because we didn't see it.
It was another flying thing, I'm sure.
It looked like it.
It looked like it was the troop transport thing from Justice League. Justice League. Or like a version of it, yeah. Just like a big, bulky shit thing.
So it's obviously carrying enough stuff. It's big enough that it can house a bike. Motorbike, not like a bring. But all of the colours, including the sky, are the same as the shot when Keaton's in the air.
True, but maybe they just
take
Sky's it on board of just
Sky.
No, but look at Justice League and Man of Steel and everything. It's either dark or the sky is not really a blue colour.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
The only time I've, at least from memory, that I'm sure that there's others, but from memory that in probably only in Justice League. Again, I might be completely wrong here, but the only time he was just in like normal, actual daylight is after Clark comes back to life, and then he's there in the like all the Justice League are trying to take him out, and then he bats them all away, and then Batman's there, and then that's when Lois sort of comes out the car, and
they both get called out by their first names.
Amazing.
Clark and Bruce.
But like that's just in normal daytime. And like when they're in sort of like Russia or whatever it is, like it's all smoke and grey and black and lightning and all that sort of stuff going on. So it's weird to see them both in the daytime, but maybe they just saw the Robert Pattinson sort of like, oh, there's a Batman in the daytime and he looks sick. How about we just do the same thing with these dudes as well?
Yeah, but even that was shot it was shot well. And it flowed.
Intentionally, yes.
If they're just in the Batcave and they go, right, here's the plan, let's go, and they just go and do it. And I'm like, well, wait till night time. But, I mean, stylistically, it looked okay. Didn't look too Dodge kind of thing. Like I would expect Batman falling through the sky in the middle of the day to look quite wank. And it looked okay.
The suit does look good, doesn't it? Like, clearly it's like not the original 89. They've just gone, let's just update it a bit and just make it, but keep the yellow chest.
It's very clearly CGI for a lot of it.
Yeah, well, he's like 60 odd now. What do you expect to do backflips and shit?
Yeah, well, he didn't do them in the original one, and he's older in this one.
He couldn't do them in the original one. That was the point.
Nah, so it looks good. I think it looks very good, which is surprising. Which leads me to my next question: who's directing it?
Fucking hell, I can't remember. Didn't it go for like 6 directors or something like that? Because it's rewritten, and then it was people have dropped in and out and all that kind of stuff over the years.
Let's have a look, because I honestly don't know. Andre Machete.
But it's like kid Barry Allen sort of running down the street going like, no, like that, and then out of focus behind them is someone standing in the middle of the road in a very odd-looking costume, and I don't know what it is, but it was like yellows and whites and stuff. And I have no idea who it is. It could just be some rando in the background, but I saw it and I was just like, that looks very purposeful. It's like someone stood there, but they're out of focus, and I'm thinking, is that maybe Reverse Flash in like a really shit original costume or something like that? I don't know.
Yellow and white though.
It's sort of yellowy. I mean, again, you know what my memory's like, but it was sort of yellowy, and it looked like they had like a hat or a helmet or something on, so I'm not sure.
So I've just pulled it up now.
I couldn't tell you when about it is. But
I can scrub forward. It's the bit when he's a kid in it, so.
Yeah, it's just sort of like going.
I didn't catch that. I'll be very honest. That could be Reverse Flash, Dan. It's got a yellow helmet, yellow arms, yellow legs, and then red.
Yellow something, isn't it? But it could just be someone in a really ridiculous running outfit.
Nah,
that just happens to be in the background.
Everyone else is, including young Barry Allen, everyone's running that way, and he's facing that way and just stood there.
So, if I was to make a prediction, Callum, and you know me, I'm not about predictions, even though we do it every fucking time we do one of these, I'd say that if anyone's going to be like the main bad guy, I think Zod's as like a bit of a sort of as bait and switch. So he'll be in it. He's got to fight Kara instead of Clark. But I reckon if anyone's going to be like the actual villainous threat, I think it's that person. Whether it's Reverse Flash or not, I don't know. But
who else could it be?
Whoever that is, I don't know. A bit more real. But
yes. Oh, have you seen that new game? Speaking of real, that body cam game.
Yeah, I have. Like there's sort of like a horror sort of like wandering around in someone's kitchen or something like that.
I'm skeptical. Well, the one I've seen is it's in like a warehousey, like an abandoned warehouse thing. The video I saw. IGN got hold of the Unreal file, so you could walk around that area, but people are still yet to play a demo of it, which makes me think. I think it is a video. I don't think it's a game. Because
how weird is that though? That we're at a point now where
it's that uncanny.
You could make an argument that a recording that someone's made, and you go, well, is it real though, or did someone make that?
There's certain things, there's certain movements that look very video gamey, and then there's other bits that just look 100% real footage. And them saying that, like, here we are walking around in the Unreal editor. This is the exact same building. There's the table that they push over there, and there's a door they go through there and stuff. But that could also just be photo scans that someone's then put into a fucking Unreal Engine. The place could be a real place.
But that was the point, though. Like it's all because it's photorealism.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But that doesn't mean that the footage we've seen is a game.
Oh, do you mean it's just like an area?
Yeah.
Well, but has anyone said that this is a full release that's coming out? There's going to be a full story thing?
Yeah.
Who's making it?
Like one guy, which makes me more skeptical.
Well, then, no, it won't be that. It'll be like a 15-minute... It'll be like what you go to a VR experience.
I think it'll be like remember the old Sega CD FMV games? Like the motion videos. Yeah. Took every one of them.
I mean, to be fair, VR is something that I'd get... Like, if I severely upgraded, then VR is not something that's...
Well, you don't need to upgrade your PC for VR. Get yourself a Quest 2.
enough for that. I want to get a decent VR.
Quest 2's decent. Do you know what the best VR you can get right now? PlayStation VR 2.
Yeah, I was. Oh, who was looking at this with the other day? I think it was when I was at that VR warehouse thing, because like these headsets that they had there weren't on sale yet. And that hasn't come, like nothing I've ever used before came close to like how good that was. But then we were looking at sort of like Vive 2, Quest 2, something else, and the PSVR, and like it was outclassing pretty much everything across the board.
100%, yeah.
Which makes me think that maybe this is actually around for a while now. Like this VR thing, it's not going to die on its arse.
The problem with the PlayStation VR 2 is the price. I can't remember the exact price for it, but it's about £500, which isn't horrible. But you also need a PS5. So now you're talking £1,000 minimum. And
then as many games as that they actually release for it or that support it, maybe.
But that means no Half-Life Alyx, no everything that you see on Steam and what people are playing on Twitch and everything else. It's not going to be on that. So you got to rely. Not all of them. Obviously, Beat Saber and all that stuff will be. And to be fair, I've got loads of PSVR games from PS Plus, and I just add them to my library on the chance that I get a VR headset. But, but spec-wise, the screen is the best in any headset, including the HTC Vive and stuff, which is still the best one you can buy for home use is the Vive still at the minute. But the best headset overall, specs and everything is the PSVR. But like I say, it's fine. Two. Sorry, yeah, definitely not the first one. Yeah. But the design of it's cool. The controllers are just Quest 2 controllers, so it's nothing special. But it depends who's asking. So the Quest 2 is probably the best one you can buy because you don't need a PC. It's all standalone. It's only like £300 for the entry level one, which is like 64 gig or something like that. And there's a shitload of games for it. But you can also, if you've got a good PC, you can plug it in to your PC, and you got even more content to do then. But again, screen's not very good, resolution's not the best, and everything else. But yeah, I 100% want to get into VR, but I really want PSVR 2, but I don't want to buy it because I know I'll regret it for the price and everything else, and you're limited. And then, should you get into the VR headspace, excuse the pun, you won't have a PSVR 2. So we won't be able to play things together. So it's your fault more than anything. Anyway, I think that'll do us, Dan.
It will.
So if you want to see more, go to podcastversusplayer.com. And on there, Dan, just you, no one else. There's more podcasts. There's more Let's Plays. There's game shows. There's reviews. There's loads of things. So get over there. And you guys head over there as well. And we'll see you on the next one. Dan, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Bye.